Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Graphic Jam, Graphic Novels Book Buzz Part 1. I'm Sarah Hunter, editor of the Graphic Novels and Books for Youth sections at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Links to today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by typing the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble accessing these materials, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a button for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we'll pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the Captions icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. From there, you can select Show or Hide Captions from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting Caption Settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Stephanie Eman, Marketing and Publicity Coordinator, and Julia Wigdor, Social Media Coordinator for Penguin Random House Canada Young Readers. Katie Sains, Director of Sales, Book Market at Oni Press, Kate Henning, Director of Talent Relations at DC Press, and Courtney Watkins, Children's Marketing Manager at Andrews McMeel. First, we'll hear from Stephanie Eman and Julia Wigdor. Stephanie is the Marketing and Publicity Coordinator at Penguin Random House Canada Young Readers. She is a horror movie/book enthusiast and bakes far too many cookies in her spare time. She's also worked as an indie bookseller and is a dog person. She lives in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Julia is the Social Media Coordinator at Penguin Random House Canada Young Readers. When she isn't scrolling the apps and jumping on memes and trends, you can probably find her at Disney World or working on her latest crap obsession. She lives in Toronto, Ontario. Thank you for joining us, Team Tundra.
Thank you for the introduction. Julia and I are so happy to present our graphic novels with you all today. Let's jump right in. Our first category is picture book graphic novels with the Disgusting Critters series by Elise Gravel to start us off. A hilarious illustrated nonfiction series about disgusting critters that is perfect for beginning readers. Now brought together for the first time in a new bind-up of The Fly, the Spider, and the Worm. With 10 books in this series, kids will learn fun and silly facts about these animals, like a rat's tail is perfect for balancing, and also picking noses. Although silly and off the wall, the Disgusting Critters series contains factual information that will both amuse and teach at the same time. For example, did you know that bats are the only flying mammal? Downloadable activity sheets and educators' guides are available on our website, and printed activity sheets are available while supplies last.
Now let's take a trip to the Mile End neighborhood in Montreal and meet Colette, Albert, and Maya in Isabelle Arsenault's Mile End Kid Stories. A Peanuts gang for the new generation, 3 charming adventures, Colette's Lost Pet, Maya's Big Scene, and Albert's Quiet Quest are now available in a special gift edition, perfect for fans old and new. In these 3 heartwarming, funny, and colorful adventures, the neighborhood kids of Montreal's Mile End think a hip, laid-back area with an artsy vibe, like Williamsburg in Brooklyn meets the East Village, as they navigate the ups and downs of friendship. Available individually or in this new bind-up collection, these stories are perfect for little kids with big imaginations.
Next up, we have Viewfinder by Christine D.U. Chung and Sawa Majoka. Viewfinder features a young space traveler who visits Earth on a whim and finds a planet empty of people. After happening upon a viewfinder that contains images of what the planet used to be like, she sets off on an adventure to see Earth as it was. With lush and captivating art, Viewfinder is a wordless and transportive graphic novel for ages 6 and up. Viewfinder will draw readers in and leave them with a renewed sense of wonder for the resilient and extraordinary place we call home, while considering the ecological conservation message the story evokes. Explore posters are available for your classroom while supplies last.
Ahoy, readers! This graphic novel series truly needs no introduction. Head Under the Sea with Narwhal and Jelly by Ben Clanton. Narwhal is a happy-go-lucky narwhal. Jelly is a no-nonsense jellyfish. The two might not have a lot in common, but they do love waffles, parties, and adventures. Narwhal and Jelly is targeted for readers age 6 and up and is available in many formats, including box sets, a new bind-up of books 1 and 2 called the Super Pod Party Pack. For younger readers, we have Bubbles and Blanky, and these Narwhal and Jelly board books are the perfect introduction to these silly characters for littles aged 0 to 3. Happy Narwhalidays is the 5th book in the series and is coming soon in paperback. Available on September 24th, this book is best enjoyed with warm waffle pudding while waiting for the Merry Mermicorn. The last book in this popular series, in stores as of last week, is Narwhal Sweet Tooth. Narwhal, like myself, loves sweet treats, but Jelly is shocked when Narwhal's tusk tooth isn't looking so pearly white anymore. Not to worry, no one knows more about dental hygiene than Shark. She has 7 rows of teeth after all. In addition to some important lessons about sweets and dental hygiene, this book explores a variety of facts about the toothiest sea creatures, such as the great white shark and the purple sea urchin. If you're looking for a way to entertain kids, we have a gallon of downloadable activities available, as well as a poster of the Narwhalicorn dance from book 7. Learn it, bring it to the club, and new sweet stickers that are sure to satisfy your sweet tooth. You can request these items from us while quantities last. Activities are available on our site, and the quantities, like the possibilities, are infinite.
Next, we have Super Duo, Simon and Chester, based on the titular character from the best-selling picture book Sir Simon's Super Scarer by Cale Atkinson. Simon and Chester are totally normal best friends, except that Simon is a ghost. With Cale Atkinson's impressive illustrations, it's no wonder that Kirkus calls the 3rd book, Super Family, an abnormally good read and a winner for new readers in this starred review. Follow Simon and Chester's hilarious exploits in this not-to-be-missed early graphic novel series for ages 6 and up, with 4 books already on shelves and more on the way. Simon and Chester activity sheets can be found on our website, and these spectacular sticker sheets can be requested while quantities last.
Did you know that a group of bunnies is called a fluffle? That may sound cute, but don't be fooled. This fluffle is anything but soft and cuddly. In this illustrated children's graphic novel series, written by Anna Humphrey, author of the Magabat series, and illustrated by Irma Knivola, these bad bunnies are taking over, starting with their local park and ending with, well, who knows? Readers will meet Flop, Biggie, and Boinky as they learn some hard truths about life pretty quick, like squirrels will take over your cozy nest as soon as you leave and refuse to give it back. Dogs are to be avoided at all costs, and raccoons will believe anything you tell them. Available in hardcover and paperback, with this sequel Big City Buns coming this spring, this fluffle is perfect for fans of the Bad Guys series and Narwhal and Jelly. Keep your eyes peeled as these buns are wanted. Help us spread the word by requesting a Fluffle Bunnies poster while quantities last.
Duos are great, but you heard it here first. Trios are the new duos, and it all starts with this trio. Weenie, featuring Frank and Beans. Author Maureen Fergus and illustrator Alexandra Bai first introduced readers to this hilarious dachshund, guinea pig, and cat, as well as their human Bob, in Mad About Meatloaf. They continue the hijinks in The Pancake Problem. Weenie, the dachshund, is a pretty good dog, but all bets are off when it comes to the thing Weenie loves more than anything else: food, and his animal friends get dragged along in Weenie's schemes. A kid's indie next pick list. Weenie featuring Frank and Beans is a perfect graphic novel introduction for kids 6 and up. Look out for the 3rd book in the series, Not So Sweetie Pie, releasing July 2025.
Blasting off to our next book, 2023 welcomed a hilarious and eye-popping new graphic novel series, Pluto Rocket New in Town by Paul Gilligan. Paul may be familiar to some readers as the creator of the nationally syndicated Pooch Cafe comic strip. This new series features Pluto Rocket, a friendly alien who, as soon as she lands on Earth, meets Joe Pidge, a streetwise pigeon who becomes her new best friend. Joe Pidge is not just a city bird, but also the stylish king of the neighborhood, and is enlisted in Pluto's secret mission to find out what life in the neighborhood is really like. Kids will love Pluto's boundless curiosity and optimism and her dynamic with Joe. And that's something reviewers have noticed too, the cooperation and optimism with friendship that's highlighted throughout the madcap adventures, sly comedy, and bright colors, with honors including a Doug Wright nomination, a Hackmatack Award nomination, and a Junior Library Guild Gold Standard selection. Pluto Rocket has the silliness that will appeal to kids, readers, and the accolades adults will appreciate. We know young readers go through these books quickly, so you'll be happy to know the first two are available in hardcover and paperback, and the third, Pluto Rocket Full Blast, will be hitting shelves this March. And with the fun buttons we've created, readers can declare themselves Team Pluto or Team Pidge. Just kidding, they're on the same team. Remember the cooperation?
Moving on to young adult graphic novels, we have Boy vs. Shark by Paul Gilligan, a name you may recognize as the creator of Pluto Rocket. This hilarious graphic memoir about boyhood toxic masculinity and a shark named Jaws is perfect for middle grade readers. In the summer of 1975, 10-year-old Paul Gilligan doesn't have a whole lot to worry about, and then Jaws comes to town. Suddenly, everyone is obsessing over this movie about a shark ripping people to pieces, and if you haven't seen it, you're also kind of a wimp. Jaws leaves young Paul a quivering mess and underlines the growing gap between where he stands in the world's expectations of a boy's manliness. And when Jaws himself becomes kind of a macho Jiminy Cricket for Paul, what is a scared and overwhelmed boy to do? Paul has captured what it means to be a kid, especially a young boy, with amazing humor and universality.
The Gulf by Adam D'Souza is a YA anti-coming-of-age road trip adventure that captures the angst and humor of being a teen during a time of great transition. Ever since Ollie found a pamphlet for a remote island commune as a kid, it's all she can think about. Now that she's nearing the end of high school, feeling frustrated with the mounting pressure to choose a career and follow a path that she has no interest in, the desire to escape it all has been steadily increasing. Available in both hardcover and paperback, The Gulf is the perfect YA crossover that captures the listlessness, the restless energy, and the raw emotion of being a teen at the end of high school.
Something a little different from our other graphic novels is Mario Brassard's and Gerald Dubois' Who Owns the Clouds. This book is a powerful and visually arresting fictional graphic tale of trauma, memory, and hope in the aftermath of war. Mila, the protagonist of the book, has dreams where she and her family leave their bomb village hoping to move on to better lives. But some of her family has disappeared, and the lines between past and present, real and unreal, keep blurring. The book looks at the effects of war from a personal and mental health perspective and speaks to a wide variety of contexts, including the Holocausts, the Spanish Civil War, and wars in Bosnia and Kosovo, and has relevance to other current conflicts. This is an affecting book and has been compared to masterpieces like Mouse. Locally, the Montreal Review of Books gave it a review that I love the best. Who Owns the Clouds gives voice to the unspeakable, and when the clouds part, a view to hope. An educator's guide to accompany the book is available for download from the Tundra site.
Thank you so much for listening. We love hearing from librarians, booksellers, and readers of all kinds, so reach out through any of these methods with your questions and thoughts. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the funny pages.
Thank you so much, Team Tundra. We'll now hear from Katie Sains. Katie is the Director of Sales Book Market at Oni Press. She began her publishing career in the marketing department of Lion Forge Comics, where she helped launch best-selling and critically acclaimed graphic novels such as Brenna Thumler's Sheets, Maya Kobabe's Genderqueer, and Wendy Xu and Suzanne Walker's Mooncakes before joining the Oni Press team in 2019. When she's not sharing her love of great reads, she's most likely to be found hiking with her rambunctious pup or taking on a new DIY project. Thanks for being here today, Katie.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And hi, everybody. As Sarah said, my name is Katie Sains. I'm the Director of Sales for the Book Market at Oni Press. Oni has been around for about 25 years. You probably know us from books like Kay O'Neill's Tea Dragon Society series, Maya Kobabe's Genderqueer, and of course, Brian Lee O'Malley's Scott Pilgrim, which was recently made into a hit Netflix anime last fall and is celebrating 20 years this year. So we have a full lineup of amazing titles for you today. So let's dive on in. First up, we have The Night Mother by Jeremy Lambert and Alexis Sharp. Next, The Night Mother is the first in a new dark fantasy series that follows 12-year-old Madeline Tock. Madeline Tock is considered a bit of an oddity in her town. She's lives in a graveyard, can talk to the dead. Next, and unbeknownst to Madeline, she is secretly the lost daughter of the Night Mother. Now, the Night Mother is this once benevolent being who is now hell-bent on harvesting enough souls to gain immortality, even if that means stealing the souls of the living. Next. This series is perfect for fans of cozy horror, so hand it to kids who love Coraline or books like The Plentiful Darkness. Next. And The Night Mother is the first in a new trilogy series that is sure to captivate minds everywhere, so find it on shelves this October. Next. Our next read takes a step in the more tween to YA space with I Felt Myself Slipping by Ray Nadine. Next. I Felt Myself Slipping follows two teenage aspiring Olympic gymnasts who are trying to balance it all. So school struggles, anxiety, grief, and friendships that might just be something more. Next. So the story has a lot of soft queer romantic undertones, but is perfect for fans of YA sports stories like Spinning, Fence, and Check Please. Next. The creator, Ray Nadine, was a competitive gymnast for years before creating this comic, so you can really see that they know the culture and the craft of gymnastics, and their love for the sport really comes through on the page. Next. One of the things that I love about this story too is that one of the main characters is deaf and uses hearing aids along with ASL, which is very clearly depicted on the page, and her teammates actually end up learning ASL as well so they can better communicate with her. Next. Kirkus calls I Felt Myself Slipping a sweet, tender story about the importance of courage and connection, which will appeal to readers who enjoy nostalgia, gymnastics, or loving queer friendships. And you can find this one available in September. Next. We're going to shift gears a little bit into the adult section of our presentation today, and I'm so excited to share that Oni Press will be publishing the first ever Cult of the Lamb graphic novel this December. Next. For anyone who is unfamiliar with Cult of the Lamb, it's this deliciously evil video game. It has a massive following. It's won several high-profile awards. It's multi-award nominated in the British Academy Film Awards and more. Next. So it's pretty much like if Animal Crossing took a slightly violent, slightly satanic turn, but kept all of its cuteness. And yes, it is as delightful as it sounds. Next. The story follows a little lamb who, on the altar of sacrifice, decides to make a dark deal with the deities that be, and wins back their life in exchange for becoming a cult leader instead. Next. So the graphic novel really explores the cosmology of the world of the video game in a way that's completely new, and it builds on that lore, exploring new facets of the lamb's origins. And you can find this on shelves in December. Next. So speaking of books that have massive followings, our next book today is the hit webtoon Sub-Zero by Juniper. Next. Sub-Zero is an enemies to lovers romantasy with close to 400 million reads on webtoon. Next. And the story follows Princess Clove of the Azul Dragon Clan as she's forced into an arranged marriage with Prince Cairo of the Crimson Dragon Clan. Next. So Clove is now literally living in the dragon's lair, trying to conceal a dangerous secret. Next, while also trying to fight off a growing attraction to her sworn enemy and betrothed. Next, this book has literally everything you could want in a romantasy. It's got enemies to lovers, arranged marriages, dragons, political intrigue, lots of like chiseled chests and things. It's wonderful. Next. So I hand this one to fans of books like The Fourth Wing, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and all of those romantasies that are really popping off your shelves right now. Next. And Sub-Zero Volume 1 releases this September. It collects episodes 0 through 25 of the hit webtoon and also includes a lot of never-before-seen extras and behind-the-scenes back matter. Next. Our next book today is a debut graphic novel from creator Ren Strap, which is titled How Could You? Next. This is a queer new adult coming-of-age tale. I love the eyeballs on this page also. They crack me up every time. But this book is one that will school you in life and love this semester as 4 college upperclassmen make sometimes morally gray decisions regarding all of the relationships in their lives, the friends, the lovers, the roommates, the exes, and most importantly, themselves. Next. So the setup of this story is pretty much Molly and Lou are both dumped by their girlfriends on the eve of their exes, Una and Oline, studying abroad for a semester together in France. Next. So Molly and Lou form this pact to rebound and find a new girlfriend, while meanwhile in France, Una is hoping to start a whirlwind romance with Molly's ex, Oline. So drama there. This is a very character-driven slice of life drama. Next, and it's full of very complex and flawed relationships that will have readers entirely engrossed. Next. This is perfect for fans of Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, Giant Days, and prose novels like Fresh or Again But Better. The art style really reminds me of Heartstopper, but the themes in this book are a bit more mature than that. So don't miss this gripping debut when it releases this December. Next. Keeping in the queer vein, our next title today is the newest in our Quick and Easy Guide series with a quick and easy guide to coming out. Next. And I wanted to share this slide really quick as a quick refresher on all of the books in this wonderful best-selling and inclusive series. This series has been highly awarded, and we're very much expecting a quick and easy guide to coming out to follow right in that vein. As far as reach goes, it'll probably slot nicely between they, them pronouns and queer and trans identities as it approaches a wide array of queer identities and coming out stories. Next. So this book really dives in on how, as a queer person, you'll have to come out multiple times throughout your life in multiple different ways. Next, not just to different folks like friends, family, coworkers, but also like as you go along your journey, even though you came out maybe when you were a teen, maybe you've started to gain a better, newer understanding of your identity. So it really looks at that and how it's a process and a journey. Next. And it does include a lot of really great supportive resources, how to navigate awkward conversations, and it really focuses on creating this very positive, caring community. Next. So make sure not to miss this one when it releases this September. Next, we are going to take a little bit of a left turn and do some horror books, starting off with Invasive. Next. So Invasive is an adrenaline racing excursion into surgical horror as a mother tries to hunt down the back alley surgeons who left her daughter permanently mutilated. Next, this book is perfect for fans of body horror. So it's Hostel meets House of Slaughter. And next, Cullen Bunn has even said that in the years to come, he thinks this will be thought of as one of his most disturbing stories. Next, it releases right in time for spooky season, so it really cuts to the core of fear. So if murder surgeons, gripping mysteries, and gruesome visuals sound like something your readers like, you're definitely going to want to put this one front and center on those horror displays this October. Next. Keeping in that horror vein, our next book for you today, Cemetery Kids Don't Die by Zach Thompson and Daniel Irizarry, is Nightmare on Elm Street meets Ready Player One. Next. The story follows a group of players who soon discover that their newest brutal horror video game obsession comes with consequences that are anything but virtual. Next. So this is a game that you play while you sleep, and one of their friends finds his consciousness trapped inside the game when he does not wake up from playing it. Next. So the friends must band together to re-enter the game and free their friend from the King of Sleep before he becomes permanently part of the game's landscape. Next. This is a dark sci-fi horror that plays with alternate online realities and nightmares that might just follow you home, and it releases this December. Next. So speaking of things that might follow you home, this next horror book, Jill and the Killers, is Riverdale meets Scream. Next. And it follows teenager Jill Estrada as her new mystery subscription box clues start hitting murderously close to home. She has to solve the clues, which involve a string of disappearances in her community, including the disappearance of her mother, before her or her friends become the next victims. Next. This is perfect for fans of My Favorite Murderer or Only Murders in the Building. Next. One of the things that I really love about Jill and the Killers is that it features an all-female creative team and a predominantly female cast of characters. And if any of you are true crime fanatics, you'll know that most of the growth of that genre has been driven by women. They estimate about 75% of women are those listeners. And so Jill and the Killer really flips the script on the traditional crime narrative, making women the victors instead of the victims. Next. And you can find this one releasing in November. Next up, we have a historical fiction called In the Shadow of Stalin, the story of Mr. Jones. Next. In the Shadow of Stalin follows real-life hero and journalist Gareth Jones, who defied the Soviet authorities' ban on journalists in the Ukraine in the 1930s and traveled undercover to find out the truth about Holodomor. And Holodomor is the Soviet-Ukrainian famine that was a planned act of terror and mass starvation that was enacted as a genocide during Stalin's regime. Next. So Jones was the very first to bring worldwide attention to this famine genocide and ended up paying for it with his life. Next. But with everything happening in the Ukraine today, In the Shadow of Stalin is a very timely book that examines the bravery and the tragedy that first thrust the Ukraine into the international spotlight. So make sure to put this one on your shelves this September. Next. This next book for you today is inspired by another real-life figure of Old Dirty Bastard with ODB, Oddities, Discords, and B-Sides, Lyrical Ruckus in the City. Next. So this new graphic novel anthology is inspired by the iconic MC and Wu-Tang Clan legendary member, Old Dirty Bastard, and it takes place in a fractured New York City. Next. So in this New York City, all of the boroughs have been split into different musical genres, and the reader gets to experience those through the eyes of ODB. Next. So this anthology was created in close collaboration with the ODB family and estate. So both Oni Press and the creators worked very closely with the family to make sure that we were telling an authentic story that honors the spirit of ODB. So you can find this releasing this November. Next. And I have two quick slides here to make sure you guys don't miss a couple of continuing series and new releases. So first up, Covenant Volume 2 is releasing this October. This is the sequel to the first webtoon collection that came out this May. It follows some sexy priest exorcists with a slow burn queer romance at the center. And then we have Hobtown Mystery Stories, where the teens from Hobtown, Canada are going away to boarding school and finding more supernatural mysteries awaiting them there. And then Army of One Volume 2 follows Carrie Taylor as she continues to journey through the multiverses to unite all the Carries and end the ages-old war between Sister Havoc and Brother Fortune. Next. And then a couple of new fan favorites return in new editions, starting off with Wet Moon 20th Anniversary Edition, Nimbus Volume 1. This collects the first two volumes of Sophie Campbell's landmark series, Wet Moon, which was one of the first graphic novels that put diverse body sizes and queer individuals at the forefront. It was considered very groundbreaking in its time, and you definitely want to make sure that that is in your collection this November. And then Crystal Cadets is Kay O'Neill, creator of the Tea Dragon Society. Their very first print debut, they did the art on this book. And so this is the first time it's being collected into a hardcover edition. It's very much a magical girl story, so hymn to fans of Sailor Moon and She-Ra, Princess of Power. And then lastly, we have Adventure Time Omnibus Volume 1, which is a first of its kind complete collection of award-winning creator Ryan North's run on the beloved Adventure Time comics. And that comes out in October. And next, that is all we have for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will pass this back on over to Sarah.
Thank you so much, Katie. Now we'll hear from Kate Henning. Kate is the Director of Talent Relations at DC Press. Take it away, Kate.
Hey, everybody. So DC publishes some of the most iconic characters in pop culture, including Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Blue Beetle, the Joker, Harley Quinn, and more. And what is especially exciting is that we publish those characters for so many different age ranges and readerships. And today we are going to share with you what we're publishing for those different audiences in fall 2024. Next, leading off with some new entries in our middle grade series. These are for ages 8 through 12. Batman and Robin and Howard are back for more hijinks. When last we saw Robin, aka Damian Wayne, and his new buddy Howard, they were learning how to turn middle school rivalry into genuine friendship, as Harry Dad Batman hustled to unpack a hilariously low-stakes middle school soccer crime. Now the crew is back as Damian and Howard are approached by a group called the Heroes Club that wants to unmask the organization building a recycling center in their favorite park. But where has Batman been getting off to? And where are all these ninja coming from? This series is written and drawn by Jeffrey Brown, the New York Times bestselling cartoonist behind Darth Vader and Son, and it is hard to think of someone better to take on one of pop culture's greatest father-son duos. There are lots of fun moments in this book for DC fans. Damian, of course, is the ambitious, sometimes overly confident Robin character we've seen centered in much of DC's current media slate, including this past holiday season's delightful animated film Merry Little Batman, which I highly recommend. So kids and parents are really getting to know him and love him. This second story will also feature appearances from Damian's mom, Talia al Ghul, and none other than Metropolis's star reporter Lois Lane. It's a charming story about weird family dynamics, fresh mysteries, new heroes, and the impacts of climate change. Next, now, our other second book for middle grade this span is Primer. And if you are new to Primer, book one introduced us to our hero, Ashley, a foster kid who came into possession of some super-powered high-tech body paints that let her paint on up to 3 powers at any time. This book is a direct sequel that picks up right where book one left off, which means that Ashley is back, her foster family is back, the super rad costume she got at the end of book one is back. It's right there on the cover. And also on the cover, we've got some huge guest stars in the Teen Titans. The Titans are actually in town hunting villain Deathstroke, and Primer wants to join in and help, but she gets caught in the middle and she kind of bungles it. And it's really embarrassing and tough to deal with it when you mess up like that. But eventually the Titans are going to need Primer's help. And she's got to wrestle with whether she's good enough to join the big leagues and whether she really wants to. This book also introduces an antagonist in Ashley's bio dad, who we know is a pretty bad guy she doesn't like and who is incarcerated and is going to be a challenging relationship for her. Primer book one was a huge hit for us and is still consistently in our top sellers. There are a lot of folks out there who know and love this character and are still discovering this character every week and are ready to read more of her adventures. And if it's adventure you want, we can move into our young adult titles where Jaime Reyes is about to have the adventure of his life. First off, let me just say, I love this cover so much. This is like my favorite cover we have in all of fall. The lighting is so beautiful. And you can actually see right there with that star on the hillside, this book is set in El Paso. This Land is Our Land is a new reader-friendly young adult framing of Jaime Reyes, aka Blue Beetle from last summer's DC film. In this story, Jaime and his family live in a border community in Texas that is being used as a political pawn in a broader immigration debate. And as that toxic dialogue infiltrates Jaime's school, his friend Riley is sort of gradually being sucked into a hate group with designs on real-world violence. And of course, it's not a Blue Beetle story without Blue Beetle. And we have that origin moment here for new readers when Jaime finds an extraterrestrial artifact in the desert. And he begins to hear that voice in his head as the scarab, which is what we call it, that becomes his sort of super suit, pushes him toward his more base and aggressive instincts. Of course, Jaime is also beginning to dream that he has to prepare the world for an alien invasion. And this sets up interesting dynamics in the story about being indoctrinated to violent causes and the fabricated threat of quote unquote illegal aliens versus actual extraterrestrial aliens who mean the world harm. So with all of those topical themes at play, this book is really positioned to start a conversation as it releases right in the heart of Hispanic Heritage Month. Writer Julio Anta and artist Jacoby Salcedo were just nominated for an Eisner for their collaboration on 2023 graphic novel Frontera, and they are in fact frequent collaborators, and their stars are very much on the rise. And with Blue Beetle in the works as an animated series from Warner Brothers Studios and DC Animation, all eyes are on Jaime as well. Now, the identity questions our characters grapple with don't all come from alien artifacts. Next. The Strange Case of Harleen and Harley, as you might be able to guess from this play on some classic art, is in fact a twist on the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. High schooler Harleen is quiet and anxious with a sort of a loud and challenging home life where her family's having money trouble. So she needs an after-school job so she can pay for college. When she and her girlfriend Pamela use fake IDs to sign up for a medical study to earn some cash, Harleen develops a bolder, riskier, brash personality named Harley. Now she and Pamela have to unpack why she's missing time, what's going on, and of course, darker forces at play are revealed. This is written by Melissa Marr, the New York Times bestselling author of the Wicked Lovely series. And we have art by Jen St. Onge, a Canadian comic artist known for sort of strong and interesting women protagonists like Nancy Drew and Jem and the Misfits. Harley has been a well-received character for us in the young adult line, with Mariko Tamaki's Harley Quinn Breaking Glass nominated for multiple Eisners. And she's also, of course, a key character in the broader entertainment ecosystem, with Harley Quinn animated series running multiple seasons on Max, the success of the Suicide Squad films, video games, multiple comic series right now. This fall in particular, we'll see the character of Harley in the spotlight, played by Lady Gaga in the second Todd Phillips Joker film, which is all just to say this is a great time for a creepy book starring Harley Quinn. Now, moving into our adult line, we have another book that spotlights characters everyone will recognize. Sometimes a graphic novel has a nuanced concept that we need to unpack for you. Sometimes you know everything you need from the title. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong is a terrifically fun book. It's a story that gives you stakes, like when Superman's proposal to Lois is interrupted by Godzilla in chapter 1, as well as some gut-wrenching character deaths, no spoilers. And those stakes come alongside amazing blockbuster moments, like Batman building a giant bat mech to fight the monsters. And in the final chapter, Kong actually getting a Green Lantern power ring. The Monsterverse, of course, has an extremely loyal fan base and is known for crossovers and guest appearances. And this year's Godzilla Kong: The New Empire film actually became the highest grossing film of the Monsterverse, as well as in the Godzilla and Kong franchises. Now, as they clash with the Justice League, these universes create a cataclysmic can't miss crossover. This is a great pick for the shelf because you can pique someone's interest with the title alone. It's a complete story, and you know it's probably going to be a lot of folks' first graphic novel or comic because they just need to know what happens. So here's another must-read team up next in Birds of Prey. This book is absolutely new reader friendly, but just to say it's real cool for comics fans because Birds of Prey is a long-running DC team name. It was actually first used like back in the 90s. And it is typically applied to a group of women heroes or vigilantes sort of banding together. And in this iteration, Black Canary is putting together a team to rescue her adoptive sister, who's being held captive by the Amazons. This is very much your TV tropes caper crew. Black Canary, the mastermind, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, the partner in crime, Big Barda's the muscle. She has an amazing, hilarious gravitas. She calls Batgirl Small Bat. Zealot, the legendary thief, Harley Quinn, of course, the wild card. And as with any caper with the right blend of characters who love each other, hate each other, just met each other, the banter and barbs are out of this world. And this series was just nominated for an Eisner for Best Continuing Series. Now let's look at a hero on his own with Alan Scott Green Lantern next. Much as there are families of Batman, Superman, or Green Arrow characters, many but not all DC heroes had earlier Golden Age iterations in the late 30s, 40s, and early 50s, and one of these was Green Lantern. So before Hal Jordan, there was Alan Scott, an engineer working on a secret US government project who was also secretly in love with his fellow engineer, Johnny Ladd. In the timeline of this book, Scott's already been blackmailed into joining the Justice Society of America by J. Edgar Hoover, while at the same time someone is framing him for a series of murders. And to unpack these storylines, the book jumps back in time. So this book re-explores his origins with specific attention paid to his life as a gay man who had to hide his identity in the 30s and 40s, and how harrowing that can be in institutions like the military and even in psychiatric medicine. Writer Tim Sheridan has noted in interviews that this was his first time as an out queer writer writing a lead character who is gay. And he called this story, he called it a story, quote, about a man coming out of the darkness into the light. We saw sales and reviews ratings on this series in comic book form go up as the series went on. And with the complete story in one place like this, we know this is a book that will only continue to find its audience. Now we're going to get a little bit darker here with Joker the World. In 2021, DC released a hardcover graphic anthology of short stories featuring adventures of Batman all over the world. And that collection had a unified day-and-date release in all territories. It was a first of its kind publishing event. In 2024, we get to do it again with the Joker. So if you know Batman, you know the Joker, of course. He is in the top 20 superhero fandom IPs globally in every age group, 13 to 75. And in this anthology, we'll see iterations of the Joker spanning over a dozen countries with creative teams from those countries sort of capturing a version of him or the action he has inspired. And that includes a US story by Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok representing the US. They are the creative team behind 2020's best-selling 3 Jokers. We'll also have teams from Spain, Germany, the Czech Republic, Japan, and more. Fun aside, the Japanese team is the creative team behind the One Operation Joker manga. If you are loving that, you will love this. And of course, there's a major media push around Joker in 2024 with Todd Phillips' second Joker film. We're going to stay a little darker here as we look at 2 entries from DC Black Label, which is DC's out of continuity 17+ line, beginning with Batman, City of Madness. So this is Batman in Lovecraftian horror. We could probably end the pitch there. But I will tell you, in this world, there has always been a dark mirror of Gotham, filled with twisted versions of Gotham's inhabitants, shaped by the hate and depravity of the real world. And the Court of Owls has guarded that door between the Gothams. But now, the Batman below, a corrupt reflection of the Caped Crusader, with tentacles where his mouth should be, is entering the Gotham above, searching for a Robin. So this is a book written and drawn by Christian Ward with this hyper-saturated, swirling portrayal of Gotham, 1 part Cthulhu tale, 1 part Jordan Peele's Us. This is exactly the sort of book that Black Label is made for. Next. Batman First Night. This is a fun idea. This is a Batman story that finds its horror a little closer to reality. First Night is set in 1939 as the world is teetering on the brink of World War II. This is actually the same year as Batman's first appearance in comics. So this is dealing with topical issues like fascism on the rise, at the same time that there is a gruesome series of murder in Gotham. So this book explores some of Batman's earliest mysteries set in their original periods through a modern lens. And it's a very pulp-influenced adventure that is going to be a great hook for these sort of like core old school comics fans. And then really quickly, we'd like to just show you 2 programs we have. Compact Comics. This is sort of answering the question, listen, comics are dominating mainstream pop culture, but has everyone in your library read a graphic novel? This is sort of new reader friendly, achieved through value, because these are $9.99 books. It's an approachable presentation. They're 5.5 by 8.5. That's friendly to prose and manga readers. They have clean branding with genre. And the story is iconic greats. You can go next, like Watchmen and N.K. Jemisin's Far Sector, as well as big media hits. And then finally, next slide, that's for the newbies, but what about the completists? DC's finest. These are the comprehensive, larger softcover collections of the most in-demand periods, genres, and characters from across DC history. And as with Compact Comics, you can use that QR code there to go ahead and hop on and take a look at the full catalog of everything that we have available in the first wave of these books. And that is what we have for you today. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me right there, or you can reach out to the marketing team via Albert Ching, whose email address is also on the slide.
Thank you so much, Kate. Finally, we'll hear from Courtney Watkins. Courtney joined Andrews McMeel 5 years ago after returning to Kansas City. As the author of 2 children's books, she is delighted to be in the mix of hundreds more through her work in children's marketing. Besides writing and illustrating, Courtney loves being outside on a trail, in her garden, or on a tennis court. The floor is yours, Courtney.
Great, thank you, Sarah. I have to tell you all, it is so nice to be here in such stellar company. I'm fiercely writing notes of all the books I need to get, not only for myself, but for kids that I know. So without further ado, at Andrews McMeel Kids, we champion every reader along their unique path with the constant of fun, adventure, and discovery. With Calvin and Hobbes as our North Star, we publish books kids want to read, stories filled with great characters like Big Nate, Phoebe and her Unicorn, and Cat Ninja. Our focus on series like these builds anticipation and excitement for the next volume. You've probably had requests for the next, and you can count on us to deliver, along with new series that will totally entertain also. Last fall, we launched a new line of graphic novels for early readers, so even the youngest kids could get in on the colorful fun. All of the books are hardcovers for this age group, with 80 pages, leveled by a reading expert, and featuring dyslexia-friendly fonts. Fry Guys, batter of the bands. It's time to rock out with your favorite potatoes. That's right, the Fry Guys are back and looking to compete in Spudtown's first batter of the bands. With Waffle taking the drums, Sweets on bass guitar, and Curly on lead vocals, the three dream of getting a record deal and winning a Yammy Award. From New York Times bestselling author Eric Guerin, it's the second in the series, but stands on its own. The zany illustrations, clever wordplay, and laugh-out-loud storytelling inspire emerging readers to keep turning the pages to find out who will win. Will it be the Fry Guys, or Pancake at the Disco, or the Backstreet Blints? Yes, the book is loaded with puns. As well, it's loaded with great messages about sticking with your friends and competing just for the delicious fun of it all. And next we have Pocket Peaches at the Fair. This is a sleeper hit that's on the prowl. In the first book, Peaches met the new cat in town, Taro. Through great effort, she finally made friends with her. And now in book 2, Peaches wants to take Taro to the Moonberry Jubilee Fair, along with Mango, who wants to compete in the fair's baking contest. Mango was confident with her recipe, but nothing goes as planned, and now her life is ruined, or so she thinks. Peaches, Taro, and Pogi come to her rescue, and soon Mango realizes that unplanned things can actually be a lot of fun. Creator Dora Wang depicts the idea of go with the flow to a T. With bubbly illustrations of the 4 darling critters, readers learn that mistakes happen, and it's just part of life. It's a sweet series with life lessons seamlessly woven through each book. Next, we have Zips and Elu Make a Friend. This is book 2 in the warm-hearted series that's cracking kids up. These 2 aliens from the planet Zugelbeep think they know everything about humans. They've read a lot about them, and they watch tons of human TV. So now they're certain they know how to make a friend. It's got to be easier than making hummus. What a funny mess that was in book 1. So using a bouncy ball, a gallon of milk, and a baguette, they literally make a friend. Zips is determined that the collage creation is his new good friend. And suddenly Elu feels left out, and he quietly scoots off. When Zips discovers that Elu is missing, he searches all over the universe because Zips has realized that he's not only had a good friend all along, he has a best friend. Zips and Elu is such a fun series with author Layla Bukarim's belly-busting humor paired with Alex Lopez's hilarious illustrations, revealing the special bond that is built between friends. And rounding out our line of early reader graphic novel series, we have Kitten Ninja, which is the backstory of Cat Ninja, Bertle the Turtle, Slice of Mallow, Afro Unicorns, and Badge Quest. And now on to our graphic novels. First up, a delightful and stirring new series, Haru. In book 1, called Spring, readers meet Haru, a small bird who dreams of flying, and their best friend Yama, a talkative boar. Both are used to being in the shadows, but when Yama finds a sinister artifact, the 2 are swept into an epic journey to destroy it. Their quest to save the world trails into book 2, Summer, where more secrets are unearthed. Hear from author Joe Latham in conversation with his editor, Katie Gould.
So you said that you like to wrap up huge concepts in magical ways with your stories that engage and keep readers hooked, questioning what's coming next. Would you maybe elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, that is quite a good segue because I think the steps I took into actually making comics, and specifically Haru, came from exhibiting at conventions and wanting to have a good reason to talk to people the next year, and like hopefully get people to come back to my table and have a good reason to interact with them, and keep them wanting to interact with me online, like keep all these things going. So it was about trying to it sounds so manipulative, but like dangle a carrot. Like you want to give them plenty to sink their teeth into, but you don't want to show all of your cards at once. So you want that kind of that excitement about it, really. So the themes of Haru that I hope will become clear by the time people get through the third book, but the themes are they're very personal to me, but they're also like poetically related to a lot of epic fantasy tales. And I think you notice these patterns in popular films and stories and things. You notice that they come from a really deeply personal place, but they become this thing that people can understand in different levels. It kind of ties into the idea of identity and discovering who we are, which I think is genuinely a perpetual journey right from day one. Thing that I noticed when I was trying to I guess unpick my own concepts, my own ideas for the story, and how it would expand and really connect to me and my personal experiences as well. I started to recognize these patterns in things like Lord of the Rings and in Harry Potter, and in how these things can be about identity and growing up, but they can also be about dealing with death and dealing with grief and existentialism as well, like the meaning of life. Like it all kind of, it comes back to a topic that's so big that it's almost too much for our puny brains to understand. But if you you take the essence out of it and you put it into a different sort of package, then you can relate to it in whatever way you need to. So it becomes a personal story as well. So yeah, I think Tolkien and his works are fantastic. Yeah.
What can readers expect from book 2, Summer? And also, along with that, are there any teasers that you can share about the final volume, book 3?
Yeah, book 2, the action picks up in book 2. So I'd say, in terms of it being an action adventure series, book 2 is where the action really escalates. And Yama and Herb get to explore more about themselves in rather tested circumstances. So it's kind of difficult to talk about it too much without giving too much away. And then leading into book 3, I'm going to skip talking too heavily about what happens too late on book 2, because I don't want to spoil it, because I think half the fun is reading it for yourself. Yeah, so book 3, the final volume, is when the emotional weight hopefully lands for readers. So that's when I want everything to sort of converge and make sense. And yeah, it is difficult talking about it, because I try to be poetic in the sense of not giving too much away.
So Maker's Club, our next book, is a gorgeous graphic novel from Eisner-nominated author about a group of kids who blend art and science to create incredible projects in video gaming, fashion, and more. This is a standalone title with 2 separate complete stories. In the first, readers meet Nadia and Priya, who are paired up for a science fair project. With Nadia's art and Priya's coding skills, they know they can make an awesome video game. But soon they learn there's more to teamwork than just having the individual skills. And in the second story, Akila and Yoon pursue their passions in engineering and fashion design. As they try to do everything they want, while also trying to please everyone else, they run out of steam. Readers will love this colorful graphic novel that's all about friendship, crafting, and coming up with creative solutions. Think Raina Telgemeier's drama, but set in Southeast Asia, which is a cool setting, giving readers a glimpse at school in another country. Now we have Otto Normal's Monsterton. This is a big wow of a book, both in length and in its unique style. It's a clever hybrid, part prose and part graphic novel. When the characters' feelings get too big, the book breaks from text into comics. The creators liken it to musical theater, the need to break into song when the tension is too high. In book 1, 11-year-old Otto and his mom move to Monsterton. It's a picturesque island and an idyllic place for monsters to be themselves. There's only one problem. Otto and his mom aren't monsters. Being the only human, Otto feels that he must prove himself to his new friends, a ragtag team of monsters, as they set out to find the legendary White Pine Beach. But what they discover instead is far more bewildering. This is the debut book for Danielle McKechnie, who weaves compelling lore into her story with delightful characters brought to life by illustrator Simone Estrada. The two have come up with an original approach to visual storytelling. We predict Monsterton will have a strong crossover appeal. Life really sucks. Have you ever wondered where your lost socks go when they don't come out of the wash? Just ask Freddie, a skater sock who gets caught in a dizzying spin cycle and is magically transported into the vibrant sockverse. Alone for the first time in his life, Freddie strikes up an unlikely friendship with Ruffles, a no-nonsense frillish sock, and Hanks, a fuzzy knee-high. This trio journeys through the whimsical world in search of the gatekeeper, an elusive being that knows the secrets to travel back to the foot side. But the journey won't be easy. Our heroes will come toe-to-toe with a gang of tie-dyed socks who are heel-bent on ruling the sockverse. Ultimately, this is a story about respecting differences, shooing us into the idea that the best way to be together is by celebrating what makes each person, or sock, wonderfully unique. Next is Detective Beans from the creator of the beloved Extraordinary comics. Detective Beans and the Case of the Missing Hat is the debut graphic novel from New Zealand comic artist Lee Chen. For Cat Town's renowned Detective Beans, a new day brings a new case. Today, he must find his most important missing hat. After all, no detective is complete without his hat. It's just unprofessional. Beans and his friend Biscuits follow clues and track suspects, hoping to crack the case before dinner. Then the two stumble upon a larger conspiracy involving Beans' missing hat. Chen skillfully infuses the story with playful nods to detective tropes, turning the usually serious detective genre into a comedic and enduring adventure. The visual appeal, gentle humor, and winning personality of Detective Beans will lead to a love-at-first-sight reaction from children and adults alike. A Neopets Omelette Fairy, based on the popular online game, Neopets comes the first in a series of graphic novels. This is our only YA graphic novel this fall. While this may look younger, the storyline, with its themes of LGBTQ romance and adventure, places the series at the younger end of YA. Readers will follow Saber X, Seraphina, and their pets on an epic journey through Neopia. Legend has it that hundreds of years ago, a dinosaur of gigantic proportions laid a massive egg. That egg split open and started to bake in the sun. But this isn't a story about how the giant omelet came to be. It is the story of how we almost lost it forever. And it's a story about forgiveness, magic, and love, with classic Neopian humor laced throughout. Best-selling author Rebecca Mix is a big Neopets fan from way back and actually started writing because of Neopets. The book also includes a universal code which can be redeemed on the Neopets website and used in the battle zone. Ta-da! So nice to be able to have the opportunity to present to you all. Thank you for tuning in for our show and tell.
Thank you so much, Courtney, and a big thank you to all of today's presenters. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit www.booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Whether you are traveling overseas, across the country, or via armchair this summer, we have your next beach read. Subscribe now to get print and digital copies of Booklist and digital and shareable issues of our new patron-friendly product, Booklist Reader, for a special webinar price of $99. In addition to these publications, you'll also get archive access, extra online content, and our 2024 Guide to Graphic Novels issue mailing this July. Head over to the Booklist website for details. It is Graphic Novels and Libraries Month here at Booklist, and we are celebrating with tons of free #ReadGraphic content and resources. Read our special Graphic Novels and Libraries issue, currently open to all on our website, for readers' advisory and collection development tips, original comics from Johnny Christmas and Dan Knott, programming ideas, and more. Plus, check out our website for the latest in graphic novel webinars, author interviews, and don't forget to enter our #ReadGraphic sweepstakes for a chance to win graphic novel swag from our sponsors. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. And one more huge thank you to our panelists, as well as to our sponsors, Tundra, Oni Press, DC Press, and Andrews McMeel. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.